Good afternoon. My name is Deb, and I'm an educator here at the Akron Zoo. And inside our Galapagos tortoise exhibit, we have Keith, who's a keeper here. Now today, we're going to be watching as our Galapagos tortoises get their daily bath. Now, this is something that we do for husbandry every single day. We make sure that we get them washed off really nice and easy, and giving them part of their diet here in just a little bit. Now, I think of Galapagos tortoises as gentle giants. They're extremely endangered, and we have two different main types. We have, right now, he's washing little Boxy. This one's called a saddleback because they're nice and kind of flat, just like a horse saddle. And then, on the other side here, we have Pagos, and Pagos is a dome back. Now, there used to be 14 different types of species, but there actually are 3 species that are endangered now. Now, really cool facts about Galapagos tortoises: they can live anywhere from 100 to about 150 years in the wild. They're herbivores, so all they're going to eat is vegetation. And some of the biggest dangers to them, long ago there was a famous biologist named Charles Darwin, and Charles Darwin went over to the Galapagos Islands and he kind of cataloged or inventoried all of the animals that were there. Before long, people started moving into the Galapagos Islands. With them, they brought things like livestock, they brought dogs, they brought cats, and what would happen was either the animals would attack and harm them, or a lot of the animals ate the same types of food, so it made it harder. About 4 clutches a year. A clutch is a group of eggs. Now, what they do is they'll dig a hole. They will end up putting their eggs inside, and they have anywhere from 2 to about maybe 6 golf ball size eggs that they will lay in there, and then they leave. Now, after they hatch, sometimes it can even take a few days for the baby turtles to end up clawing out of their shells. Now, in the Galapagos Islands, they had a really bad drought in 2017. Now, a drought is when there's hardly any water at all, and they have no food either, because if you think about it, you know, they eat things like grasses and fruits and vegetables, and all of those need water and able to grow. So quite a few tortoises actually ended up not being able to find food and passing away. However, on the other side, a Galapagos tortoise can go up to a year without any food or water. In fact, long ago, sailors near the Galapagos Islands, which are a group of islands that are kind of west of Ecuador, they actually would take Galapagos tortoises, flip them upside down, and keep them on their ships as a food source for while they were out on the high seas. Unfortunately, over 100 to 200,000 tortoises actually died that way. So that kind of started their decline. And then with climate change, and I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but you know, climate change does have a lot to do with the life expectancy and the quality of life for these tortoises. Now, if you look at them in the wild, they eat kind of different things. I mean, they still eat, you know, the same kind of fruits and vegetables and grasses and hay. But our saddleback, what they actually do is, our saddleback has that longer neck. Now, I think of them kind of like dinosaurs. So our saddlebacks are the long necks. And in the wild, they eat vegetation that's a little bit higher. The domeback, their necks are a little bit shorter. So they're the shortest. And they actually eat more vegetation that is lower. There have been, you know, out of the subspecies that are extinct now, they're the longer neck ones because they can't completely tuck all the way in as well as our shorter neck dome tortoises, so they can't protect each other as well.
Deb, Riley is asking, how much do they weigh?
They weigh a lot. They actually actually, I'm trying to think, Pagos is about 260 and Boxy is about 201 pounds. That's a whole lot of turtle.
And we have another question. Says, how much waste do they produce?
Keith, I'll let you answer that one. How much waste do they produce?
Well, probably about a couple pounds a day. They're like little pellets, kind of like almost like a teardrop about this big. And it's just full of hay. What we do as part of their diet is feed the beans a couple minutes, but they also get about a quarter of a plate of hay per day. So that's basically all it comes down. It's just basically it's rough.
Keith, Dean is asking, what temperature do they have to be in?
Well, we keep this one in the enclosure at about 80 degrees, usually what we're liking. There's actually 4 heat in both the 4 heat in the back and 4 heat in the front. We're about 95 to 96 degrees each. And then the pool is just the ambient temperature.
Come a little closer. So Judy's asking, how long is their lifespan?
Well, these guys can get kind of old. Just recently, not that long ago, we lost Darwin's one. We got them in the 1800s. So probably about 100, 125 years these guys, if everything goes right.
In fact, the largest one oldest, was over 300 years old. But that's not common. Normally it's about 100, 150 years. And the really cool thing about them too, just like other types of tortoises or turtles, the temperature decides if they're going to be boys or girls. If it's a really high temperature, they'll all be girls. If it's a lower temperature, they'll be boys. But if it's kind of in between, you'll have a mix of boys and girls.
Deb, Danny wants to know if they are friends.
They are friends. I've never, have you, Keith?
Not really. I mean, it was a little bit of getting together, like getting to know you kind of period when they were just kind of getting to know each other, push a little bit, push a little here, push a little there. But otherwise, they kind of calm down now. Say, hey, you know what? We're good. We're stuck with you. That's all that we, right?
Keith, Reagan wants to know, do they swim?
Do they swim? Not to my knowledge. There's the theory that that's how they got to the Galapagos Islands. They just floated over to Ecuador in South America. But I'm not sure if they really use that for sure.
Nah. In fact, everything that I've ever read, says that, possibly between the shipping trade where they were put on the ships, possibly they were used for barter. But no, an animal that heavy is not going to go out into deep water. I'm sure they love to lay in mud, because mud helps cool them down on a really hot day. But no, you're not going to see these swimming across the Atlantic Ocean or Pacific, actually, either one.
So Lexi is asking, how big will they get?
Well, considering their age, and in April, we don't know when, but sometime in April, Boxy will be 69 years old. So if you have a birthday in April, any day, you can celebrate with Boxy. And Pagos here is 31, so, I'm not quite sure.
Keith, Jennifer would like to know, what is their favorite food?
Well, their favorite food is what we're giving them right now. They like beans. They eat beans every day, and then occasionally they get grapes, or parsnip, or carrots, or some other kind of biscuits that we give them. And as I said before, they usually get a quarter of a plate of cake per day.
Caitlin would like to know if they are in danger.
Endangered?
Maybe endangered?
Yes. They are SSP, I believe, an SSP species. Yes.
But yes, these are the gentle giants of the Galapagos Islands because they don't fight with other animals. They just want to be left alone. They want to be able to eat their food, lay eggs, and roam about every day, being able to find fresh fruits and vegetables.
Deb, Molly wants to know, or actually Gwen wants to know, what kind of predators do they have to stay away from?
Oh, they have things like, not so much when they're big like this. You're not going to get an animal that's going to harm them, but the eggs. You know, the eggs are kind of like tennis ball size, and yes, they are, you know, covered with dirt. Mom does cover them up to try to protect them, but there are animals like dogs. In fact, that's a really good reason that if you're out walking your dog, always keep them on the leash, you know, because dogs by nature, you know, like to sport hunt. And, you know, when dogs and cats moved into the Galapagos Islands, you know, some of them became feral and they would attack eggs to eat them, or they would also go after little small, you know, tortoises that didn't have any defense. Also, raptors, some types of raptors can swoop down and they can get either the eggs or the little young turtles.
Keith, Carrie's asking, what enrichment activities do you have for them?
We have a whole bunch of them. We have a whole bunch of stuff in the back. We have like rumor balls, we have like cubes that we use to put hay in or put their food in. They enjoy sometimes. We have like little nice big silver dinner plate thing that it's kind of acts as a mirror almost. And so it's just to give them their, hey, there's possibly another one in here. And, you know, look in there for a little while. And yeah, so a bunch of that stuff. Yep.
Caitlin is asking, are they stubborn?
Yes, they can be stubborn, depending on what's going on. Sometimes like, I really need to have those doors closed, or you're going to try and go back to the back area. But usually, if you have food, I'm not going to be so stubborn anymore.
Bailey wants to know, what vet care do the tortoises receive?
They get yearly exams, and if there's any kind of issues, like runny noses, or if they get a cut or something like that, we'll always call the vet staff. We'll come take a look at it and determine what's the best course of action.
Nate wants to know the difference between turtles and tortoises.
Well, you know, one of the biggest differences, how you can tell, look at their shells and look at their claws, because all tortoises have claws, but tortoises have claws that they can dig with deep, so they're heavy, thick claws. Turtles, they have webs in between their claws so that they can swim because they're aquatic. Tortoises have a heavy kind of helmet-shaped shell because they live on land. And turtles spend most of their time in the water, so they have kind of a flatter, thinner shell, and that kind of helps them a lot.
Sadie wants to know if they have a favorite zookeeper.
Just about anybody who has food. Favorite of the day.
Kennedy is asking, how fast can they walk?
I am not sure either. I mean, I've never seen them like completely haul. In fact, last week, and you can still see this on Facebook, the video from last week, they actually had the run of the mill here. They were out in our hallways, walking around, and you can see from that, they don't go very fast.
Carter wants to know if you have to give them baths.
It is very good for them, because especially this time of year, when they're inside all year round, they don't get to be outside and experience any weather. So yeah, we like to give them baths just to keep them clean, just to keep them, you know, get something water into them. I mean, they have the pool, but as you see, they really like it. They go up on all their feet, they stretch their necks out, and they really seem to enjoy it.
Keith, Parker Boyd wants to know, which one of the two is your favorite?
Well, I don't know, it's like picking favorite children, right? I don't know, I like them both equally. They both have their personalities.
Here's a unique question. Finley wants to know, do you have to put anything on their shell or skin to protect them from the sun when they're outside?
No, because out in the wild, they're not going to get anything, you know, on there. But I will tell you, there's a great relationship that they have with a certain type of finches out in the wild, because it's called a symbiotic relationship, and that means you have different types of things that work together. And they get ticks on them, on their necks in the wild, and the finches will fly down and they will peck and eat those ticks off of them. So no, they do not have to have anything on their shells when they're out in the wild, but they really do appreciate those finches that take the ticks off with their beaks.
Bryce wants to know how many eggs a tortoise lays.
Usually, you know, each clutch, I think it can be like about 2 to maybe 6. And they do cover them up, and they're as big as a tennis ball. So they're not like, you know, smaller tortoises and turtles. they're going to have really little eggs. In fact, when a baby, let's say box turtle is born, it's only the size of a quarter. That's it. But not these guys. I mean, these are too big. So you compare the size of a quarter for a box turtle and the size of a tennis ball. Yeah, you can tell the difference in the size.
Haley wants to know, why do they hide in their shells?
That's usually like a hide from danger type thing, where something scares them or spooks them. They kind of just draw back to their shell. These guys and most turtles do not go completely into their shell. There is some room, that they can't just. There's too many things in there. It's like that's part of the thing. It's like all their organs are actually in their shell. So try and get your neck into your shoulders. You really can't do that. There's too many things in the way.
Lexi wants to know, do Galapagos tortoises get along with marine iguanas?
I do not know. In fact, I'm not even sure if marine iguanas are in the same area. But I think they more or less like to stay either on their own or with other tortoises.
Our zoo friend Jake Belair said, hi, Keith and Deb.
Hi, Jake. I miss you. Jake was part of our teen volunteer program, back in 2004, or 2008. So it's really good to see from you, Jake.
Finley asked, how many teeth do they have?
They actually don't have any teeth at all. They have a beak. So what they do is they use the jaw power to kind of crush their stuff and rip it off, rip their plants off the ground and off the animal, the rest of the plant. So they do not have any teeth at all.
A number of people have been asking again how long they live.
About 100 to 150 years. One was actually reported to be over like 300 years old, but there really, I don't think was much to back it up. Lonesome George, I believe he lived about maybe close to 90 years. So, that much we do know for sure.
Miles and Colston ask if the babies stay with their parents.
No. No. Most reptiles, bless them, they're wonderful animals, but they really aren't maternal. I mean, you do have, alligators, that babies, they actually kind of talk to each other when they're in the eggs, but the majority of reptiles, whether it's snakes, lizards, turtles, tortoises, they lay their eggs and they leave. Sorry, but that's what happens.
Cody wants to know how long they sleep.
How long they sleep?
Here, we'll sleep basically for the time that we leave, so the time that we come back, we see the dosing during the day. So there's not a whole lot of room for them to walk around, unfortunately. I mean, that's how it is capacity, activity. But they can do a lot of walking in the wild, so in the wild, I think they would sleep a little bit less.
Danny wants to know, do they like hot or cold weather better?
They like hot weather, because they're found in Galapagos Islands, which are very close to the equator, so it's very warm there most of the year.
Bethany is asking, do they have any animal relative?
Well, I mean, any type of turtle or tortoise would be related to them. Like I said, there are right now about 11 different species of them. So, but both of those species are still broken down into two groups, the smooth saddleback and the dome. And actually, the saddleback, they like to graze a little bit higher up on a mountain or a hill, whereas the dome, they like to stay down further because they like more of that moist vegetation and the fruits and vegetables that are there.
Brooklyn would like to know how many toes they have.
Hey Keith, I think this one's for you. I haven't actually counted, but maybe Keith's coming in on this side.
Wait on that.
I'm trying to look. I see like about 3 here.
Well, while we're waiting for that, Dean wants to know, what does their belly feel like?
I have no idea, but the bottom of their shell is called a carapace, and I actually see 5 toes there and fingers. Keith, how many fingers and toes do they have? Okay.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like 5 on the front.
5 on the front.
And looks like 3 on the back.
3 on the back.
Chris is asking, how strong is their jaw?
It's very strong. They would crush most fruits. Like, you know, I want somebody to try and put like a cantaloupe or something in their mouth and try and see if they can crack it in half. We can't. They definitely can.
Okay.
I have a question for you, Keith. If you have to move these somewhere quickly, can you pick them up? Can you personally just like pick them up, or how do you move them?
No, I have not been one by myself, but there is a way to pick them up with several people. You grab here, usually. You grab it here, right
What
here.
is the count?
Because you won't want to get pinched. Because they retract, or when you retract the legs, they don't pinch.
Okay, well, we're going to move forward and we're going to look at a craft that Sarah has over here for turtles.
All right, hi guys. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. So how cool was that? I love watching the turtles get their bath. So we have a couple of quick ideas for you today. I have a quick craft using egg cartons, which I'm sure we're all probably up our eggs at home. Super simple. We're going to cut out the bottom little shell part. We're going to turn this into our little shell. And I have two examples. I made a tortoise, which of course he would be more like some ground colors. He would be brown and some yellows because he's going to blend in on land. And then we have a sea turtle. And you can see too, like we had just learned, I made their little legs different. So the tortoise is going to have these legs where he can dig and crawl on the ground, and the sea turtle will have more flippers so he can swim into the ocean, and his colors will be more green and brown, so he blends in with the ocean water. So simple. I just kind of glued their little legs on the bottom. Super easy. You can have fun. Look how cute they are, little turtles. So I thought that was super fun to do. The other fun idea, and parents, don't be angry with me. I tell you what, there's something about water that makes kids happy, and especially after what we just saw today, I think it's really fun to let your kids explore in some water, let them pretend to give some of their little animals a bath. Look how fun. And I tell you, it's an easy cleanup. It's just water and soap. But something about giving them the okay to explore, play, scrub down. They can pretend to be a keeper, talk about what they'd have to do. So much fun. Your kids will be really happy that you let them have a good time in some water. We're gonna scrub this otter up, but it will buy you maybe 10 minutes of peace and quiet, and it's an easy cleanup. It's just water. So let them have fun. My last little activity idea, which I love in the spirit of slow and steady, since we saw our Galapagos, I made a Lego marble maze. I just used a wooden bead in case you don't have a marble. So you set this up, let your kids make their maze, slow and steady. They want to see if they can get their ball through the maze. And then here's the tricky part. Time them, see how fast they can go through, and then maybe compete against their brothers and sisters, and maybe on the next round, their sibling gets to remove one part. So now, let's see if they can make it through without having the ball or the marble drop through. So they made it through that round. Next round, your sibling gets to remove 2 pieces. Pick another piece. So you can keep changing up this game, make your marble maze harder. If you don't have Legos, you can do it with a piece of cardboard and some popsicle sticks, whatever the ball will use as a little maze to get through. So I thought this was super fun, creative, let them get working on this and challenge each other to be slow and steady. Thanks for joining us.
Have a good night. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Ellie, for your assistance.